Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all.
Ice cream cake or regular cake?
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcast should have a theme song. Podcast should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Hal, we've already on this show once had a battle between the two juggernauts of ice cream cakes.
Mm-hmm.
Have we not?
As they melted on my kitchen counter, Budgie the Whale and Cookie Puss.
Budgie the Whale stayed pretty much intact. Cookie Puss turned into Sloth from Goonies real fast. Immediately. We can't do this alone, Hal, because this is a bigger topic we're diving into.
That's right. That's why we have our good friend, one of the funniest human beings that I know, who I haven't seen since, pre-pandemic for sure, but way too long. Caissie St. Onge.
Thank you for having me, friends.
It's so great to have you on here.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm very honored that you would ask me to join you.
Well, you are one of the funniest people we know. You're a brilliant writer. You're hilarious and you're a friend. And it's always fun to catch up with people and talk about the important things.
I agree. I'm very excited to talk about this with you.
And Mark, are you drinking water out of a crystal goblet just so we're keeping score here?
I am drinking water out of a crystal goblet.
He's a very elegant man.
Mm-hmm. Sparkly water out of a sparkly goblet. So,
wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
It looks like you took that glass off the set of The Ice Storm.
You know where I actually went online and deliberately, it wasn't like a impulse buy like, ooh, I like these. I deliberately went online and was like, I want super textury goblets because I was watching Game of Thrones at the time. And I like, if I'm going to drink wine, it's going to be out of something that requires my entire meat hand to hold on to.
I like that. It does look like you stole it from Beneath the Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. I had to soothe him with song. And then I stole his favorite glass. He's mad too. The dragon is not happy with me.
You drank port out of that. He took it. He's going to do it as dessert.
I like a classy dragon that drinks port. He's like, what? Blood? What? No. What? Gross. I got this one at Whole Foods. It's 365 brand, but it's actually just a label they put on it. Try it.
Yeah, my hoard doesn't have gold in it, but it does have a lot of Leonard Cohen bootlegs. I'd love to play them for you on my turntable.
Oh no, I got to sing for him quick.
I like that dragon. I know that dragon.
Yeah. You know that dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to
dragon,
college with that dragon.
As you're about out the door of that dragon's place, it's like, oh, before I forget, you've got to hear this. It's so good. This just came out.
And it's their self-published book of poetry. Yeah. Just came out.
Of your printer. It just came out of your printer, dragon.
The presses.
Oh, dragon.
Well, we're not here to talk about hipster dragons. We're here to talk about ice cream cakes versus regular cakes. Caissie, what drew you to this topic? As we always do with our guests, we give a list of topics, and this was one that you brought to the top of the pile. Are you a cake fan? Were you a ice cream cake birthday party kid? Like, what's your brief history, CV of both of these?
I don't think I ever had an ice cream cake until I was an adult, but I grew up in the time when the Carvel ice cream cake commercials were very prevalent. So that was like an early discussion between my husband and I when we were first dating. I think we had a debate over what the Carvel guy's first name was. Was it Tom Carvel or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was insisting that it was something else. I can't remember what I was in. And
Bernie Carvel, the star of Matilda.
Maybe. But we ended up just calling the local Carvel and being like, is it Tom Carvel or whatever the heck I was saying this guy's name was? And they were like, it's Tom Carvel. So, that was an important lesson in admitting that I was wrong. I don't know why I didn't know that his name was Tom Carvel or why I was so insistent. But anyway, in any case, I never had an ice cream cake until I was an adult, but I have had many over my lifetime, many home baked cakes, frozen Sara Lee type cakes. So I grew up in like a regular cake household. And then as like when I became a mom, one of my favorite things to do when my kids were younger was to make a really elaborate birthday cake for their birthday in, you know, whatever shape they wanted. And they were really creative, weird kids. So they would always ask for something really creative and strange, like a treasure chest filled with treasure spilling out of it. Speaking of dragons, or like a castle covered with like realistic looking stones, things like that.
Wow. And you made these?
Yeah, I did make them.
That is impressive.
And then I got so like confident that my best friend from high school was getting married. And she said like, we're just going to like get a cake from Costco or whatever, because like, whatever. Like, wedding cake is an unnecessarily wild expense. And so, you know, and I was like, oh, I'll make your wedding cake for you. And, I think it came out really nice. The only thing is like, I am not good at like scaling down a recipe or a size. So it's way too much cake for the size of the wedding.
There's no such thing as way too much cake.
It was so much cake. And it was just like, and my mom like drove it there with like me guarding it in the back of an SUV. That was probably one of the more stressful moments of my life. Like trying to, it made me have respect for anyone that is a cake decorator, because I don't know how you live through transporting cakes daily. It's too stressful.
That's always my favorite part of Buddy Velastro's show is they make the tallest cake and then they realize like, oh, we have a doorway it has to go through. So they're like measuring tape and like 12 people carrying it. So I can't imagine when you've made this cake, how many tiers was the cake?
The cake was only 3 tiers, but they were quite big. Like it started with a quite large bottom tier. I'm not even joking. I think the wedding was probably like 50 guests altogether. And I'm sure that cake could have easily fed 250. Not even joking.
Wait a minute. You said you're not good at changing the recipe or adjusting the recipe. Where did you find a cake recipe that was like serves 250 as the last line of the recipe?
I was just
Were you not curious when it was like, you're going to need for this 2 industrial sized bags of flour?
Yeah.
Well, you know, here's a secret, or maybe it's not a secret. A lot of wedding cakes aren't in fact scratch, because no one really gives a shit about like if it's a good cake or, you know, so a lot of wedding cakes are made from mix. And it is, you know, cause it's just very reliable. And like, then you get to the good part of decorating. And so I used mix, and I used bulk mix, I think, like that I had just gotten from like a bulk food store or whatever, I think. But also I think part of the problem was that my friend wanted 3 different flavors for the layers, and had it all been one flavor, I think I could have wrapped my head around it. But no, it was like, I just had so much mix and I was like going for it. And it was a lot. It was a lot of cake.
I just imagine you standing over a clawfoot tub with a oar mixing all these ingredients for like the middle tier of the cake.
Yeah, it kind of was. It was not unlike that. And then there was like fondant icing. That's a whole thing. I don't know if you're familiar.
Over like a blanket, you have to cut it.
And smooth it. And it's like, you know, it's like a finish work, finish work.
When you mentioned making, I was going to ask you about fondant. When you make the cakes for your kids, is fondant regularly a go-to when decorating a cake for you, or do you try to do it with icing and frosting?
I would always try to do it with icing, because fondant doesn't really taste particularly good. There's like a marshmallow version of fondant that I think is a little more forgiving, and I think it tastes a little better. But traditional fondant that is really quite sturdy, it really just tastes like what does it even taste like? It tastes like skin. I don't know.
Like chewy, like if Gumby had skin.
Yeah, it tastes like what I imagine artificial suede tastes like. It's not good. It's not a tasty.
So what I'm taking out of this is that Gumby's skin is artificial suede.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've never tasted Gumby. I don't know, but I'm,
I don't know if Gumby is a listener to the podcast, but Gumby, we would love to have you on. We all want to lick your skin. Just so you know.
By the way, this podcast is brought to you by the Blockheads. If you need Gumby chased around like everybody's skating to jazz music, call the Blockheads.
Oh my gosh.
So wait, you grew up in a traditional cake household. You're obviously an accomplished baker of cakes, but you were aware of first name redacted Carvel and ice cream cakes. And you don't taste one until you're an adult for the first time, which is incredible. That's like dancing between raindrops because of the number of parties you attend as a kid. What was it like the first time having an ice cream cake?
I mean, well, I will say that I wasn't like, people didn't have parties that much where I grew up when I was a kid. And so I think that I missed out on ice cream cake because I wasn't like a softball or little league kid. I feel like that's and also it was like I grew up in a recession time and like in an economically depressed area. So like that was, getting an ice cream cake was like a real dream, like an impossible dream that I never went to a Carvel. So when I first had an ice cream cake, I think it's when I like moved to New York City and started working at the Late Show with David Letterman, where, everybody's just rolling in money. Not me, but, and somebody must have gotten one for someone's birthday. And so I feel like it was Fudgy the Whale. Like who won? I can't remember who won Fudgy versus Cookie Puss for you guys.
Oh, Fudgy.
Fudgy won because he held his shape and Cookie Puss immediately became soup, which I don't mind, but you want to.
I think Fudgy is like superior tasting as well because it's fudge. Like
it's the Oreo. It's got that sort of Oreo crumble around the outside.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm a hot fudge lover. Sure. And Fudgy is covered in it. The fudge isn't hot because he's made of ice cream, but it is still the substance that is similar to hot fudge. So, I think I had a Fudgy the Whale cake and I was like, this is pretty good. It's like, it's fucking fudge.
Yeah. I want to start then diving into this topic. And I think there is one big question that we need to begin with. And that is an ice cream cake a cake?
I don't think it is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, why not?
I don't subscribe to I don't believe that a giant cookie is a cookie cake. And I don't believe that anything that anyone's calling a cake that isn't made of delicious flour-based crumbs, I feel like is not a cake. Even a cheese cake, that's a special. But yeah, I'm not into calling anything a cake that's not a cake.
A lot of people say, I guess cheesecake is technically a pie, which I hate. That for some reason, it kind of makes me mad. Because maybe it's
that it is a pie, or that people say that it's a pie.
No, that people say it's a pie because there are so few things in life that I have figured out in any way. But the one thing I knew was that cheesecake was cake, and then they come along and say it's pie, and then I go, well, then now everything up is down, cats are dogs.
I will go so far as to say I think that cheesecake is almost like a type of custard.
Sure,
and in your defense, it comes in a springform cake pan, usually. Right. Yeah. It's only the cheesiest, made by a middle schooler Jell-O at-home cheesecake that somebody puts in a Keebler graham cracker pie shell. So that's a pie in a way, almost like a cream pie. And it's not really true cheesecake filling. But I would say a cheesecake is transcendent and it is what it is. So. Yeah. I guess I'll just, what else are you going to call it? Cheesecake, but it's its whole own thing.
Much like
cheese pie, that's a pizza.
Plate.
Yeah, exactly. Cheese pie is a pizza. Right.
Now, if you put cake in I don't want to take us too far, but so if I take cake mix
Mm-hmm.
And I've made cakes from scratch too. I love doing that. I actually love making cakes from scratch. It's a lot of sweat equity for something that's going to go bad almost immediately, but I still love it. But if I take a cake mix and I put it into a pie tin on top of a crust, or I just put it in as it is and just the way it bakes, it sort of forms a crust. Is that a pie even though it should be a cake?
I'm sorry. Did you just use cake as a pie filling? Did you just make a cake pie?
Can you? But then is it pie? It's not. It's not
deranged.
This is deranged sacrilege.
This is what happens.
Is there a culinary inquisition somewhere that can like come in and like put you on a rack till you repent, but a cooling rack for a cake?
I wish they would. I need the stretch.
Oh my gosh. What would that be? That would be almost like maybe like a tart. I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone's even ever done it because it's such a terrible idea, Hal.
A sweet quiche. Oh yeah. There's no doubt it would be so bad. The outsides would be too cooked. The insides wouldn't be cooked enough. It would be dangerous and bad.
Look,
but is it a pie?
There is one frankenfood like that I would have thought, what? That sounds like sacrilege. That is actually delicious. And that is a brookie. Have you ever had a brookie?
Oh, the brookie.
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, I love a good brookie.
Yeah.
So a portmanteau food, I can't necessarily poo-poo the idea.
What about a cronut? Have you ever had a cronut?
I've never had one. I heard about them and I wanted one.
I had one at a charity event. I was there helping out. And
that's how popular they were. It was only for like swanky fundraisers.
Exactly. They were like, we have our own cronut maker, and they would make these mini cronuts, and then I ate it. And it was, everybody was talking about cronuts. And then I ate it and I was like, this was fine.
It's fine. It reminded me of, like flaky puff pastry from like when we were, like it's fine. It's good, but it's really just like a circular, I don't know, some baklava vibes in there,
But not quite as good. Like baklava is better. And
yes.
A croissant is better.
Yes.
And a donut is better.
Yeah. Just no need to combine them.
Yeah.
No, just eat one of each.
Yeah.
As a balanced meal.
Yeah. That's why those bakeries have bags.
Yeah.
So if ice cream cake isn't a cake, what are we doing here? We're
doing apples and oranges. We've done an apples and oranges episode.
I just want to make sure that we're not saying, well, it's not a cake, so it can go away.
No. It isn't best cake. This is a binary. This is not best cake. This is between these two.
And also, I think the comparison is fair because of the way that we've set ourselves up societally. Mm-hmm. An ice cream cake is often used to celebrate an occasion where a regular cake would be there. So I think that even though, in my opinion, it's not a cake, it's something different, I do think that it's a fair comparison and a fair contrast.
Can
you put birthday candles in it?
Yeah, people put birthday candles in it.
Put birthday candles in an ice cream cake.
Right. Although nobody does birthday candles anymore because
you're blowing all over a thing that everybody's about to eat.
And by the way, it was always disgusting. I'm glad we finally know it. It was always disgusting to eat your coworker's spit.
That's why for every birthday, the gift that I give is a bellows. Like, let's do presents before the cake. Here's
one of those little cones that you snuff, a candle snuffer, snuff out.
So you have an altar boy bring it in and he just lays it on top.
Can you believe we made that a tradition? Like, it's my birthday. You have to eat my spit.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me. How does it taste?
I'm so excited. I get so much power on my birthday.
It's disgusting.
I'm part of you now.
Oh my gosh. I've only been coughing into this napkin all night, but now you're going to get one.
It's not bloody every time. Just like every fourth time. It's
not Nicole Kidman's tuberculosis cloth from Moulin Rouge.
Every movie. I just was watching something the other day and like some little kid coughed blood into a handkerchief. And I was like, oh my God, it's the universal sign for, oh no.
Yeah. Oh no, TB, you're dead by the end of the movie.
It's usually worse than anybody knows. Like nobody's found out yet. It's only the sick person in the handkerchief that know.
And they keep it a secret, like they've been bitten by a zombie, which everybody keeps a secret every time. And I'm like, just tell everyone.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Just be like, guys, I just got bit.
Do you think the guy who did those cheer commercials in the 80s had TB as a kid and would always cough and bloody up? So he had to figure out ways to clean and get the handkerchief white again. So he's like, if I take this martini shaker and I put ice
I think that's exactly what happened.
I
think that is,
oh my God.
Occam's razor says that is exactly why those commercials existed.
They're like, Harold, put on your tuxedo. It's your birthday. Coming, mother.
Oh no, I've coughed up a grass stain this time. Into the shaker.
That's when you really should be upset. Yeah. That's the real, oh no. If you cough up a grass stain, you're
Oh, am I a cow? Did nobody tell me? Do I need to talk
I'm a ruminant. Is that?
You think I'll have regular cud or ice cream cud for my birthday?
When I was a kid, the two things I hated the most about having a January birthday were number one, pool parties were kind of straight out unless you went indoor at the Y, but like nobody's going to get their swim trunks in Northeast Philadelphia in January.
Right.
But number two is you couldn't have an ice cream cake. To me as a kid, ice cream cake was like the fancy, cool thing to have at a birthday. Cause it was either that or a sheet cake.
Right.
A sheet cake from Acme with overly processed.
Which you know had TNT in it.
Yeah. It had birdseed.
Was there a little sign that said free cake?
Yeah.
And it always blew up. And then I would be walking home with really long arms, making accordion sounds all the way and wondering like, why couldn't we just have ice cream? I know it's cold outside, but everybody loves ice cream.
Poor baby Hal.
I know.
Yeah, and we've come a long way in terms of like sheet cakes and what they can do with sheet cakes in grocery stores. But in the birthday parties that I went to, like it was always like just very old lady roses on a sheet cake. And I was like, I mean, like a balloon isn't that hard to.
Yeah.
A balloon is much easier than this elaborate, gaudy, garish rose, this red rose.
Though I have to say, when I was a kid, I wanted that rose.
Oh my God, yes. Whenever.
If you could get the piece that had the rose on it, come on.
So good.
So much frosting.
It's extra frosting. There was a bakery, there was a restaurant we went to all the time called the Country Club Diner that was amazing. Great, like right next to Northeast High, which means nothing to either of you, and maybe three of the people who listen to the show, but they had a really good bakery and an elaborate selection of birthday cakes. And what was great about these cakes was not that they were in any kind of crazy shape, but they would have airbrushed like a full baseball diamond and put all these plastic toys, like the cakes were 75% plastic toys set up in some elaborate setting. And then like it's 25% cake. And there were plenty on display, but then a full binder of everything else and anything that was popular at the time. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Strawberry Shortcake, Rainbow Bright, whatever you can imagine was available to be on your cake in some form.
And you got free toys.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining someone's in the back popping open Kenners and plopping them on top of this cake.
Hal, listen to this. Listen to this.
Yes.
The only way in which it was superior to be a young American girl in past American history versus a young American boy. Like the only way in which you had a superior experience was if you were able to get this special cake that was like a giant bunt cake and then someone would jam a full f***ing Barbie in the middle of it and make the bunt cake into Barbie's skirt.
Oh, of course.
Oh, that's good.
Oh my God. Every girl dreamed of that. All I ever got was the sadder version, which is where your grandmother jams a Barbie into a roll of toilet paper that she's made like a crocheted cover for. And it's like a toilet paper holder. And then, I mean, everyone who's sad sweet. Has that. Yeah, it's sweet. It's a nice thought that your grandmother cares if you always have toilet paper at the ready and that it's fun for you, that it has a Barbie shoved in the middle of it. And by the way, the toilet paper ones were never official Barbies. They were like from the discount store Barbies that were made of like this thin plastic that was like thinner in some other places. It's
2 R's in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too real.
Barbie.
Barbie can help you be whatever she wants. She can be an architect, a doctor, or you can put paper around her that you use to wipe.
It's Barbie and can.
Barbie and can. Bootlegs. I love them. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to determine once and for all ice cream cake or regular cake. But in the meantime, here are some other great fun shows on the Maximum Fun Network. We'll be right back.
That was great.
In the meantime, in between time. You guys all remember that album from The Party?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm looking for a movie.
Oh, I got you.
There's that new foreign film with the time travel.
There's an amazing documentary about queer history on streaming.
Have I told you about this classic where giant robots fight?
Or there's that one that most critics hated, but I thought was actually pretty good.
Ooh, I know. The one with the huge car chase, and then there's that scene where
the car jumps over the submarine.
Wow, who are you eclectic movie experts?
Well, I'm Ify Wadiwe.
I'm Drea Clark.
And I'm Alonzo Duralde. And together we host the movie podcast Maximum Film.
New episodes every week on MaximumFun.org.
And you actually just walked into our recording booth.
Oh, weird. Sorry. I thought this was a video store.
You seem like a lady with a lot of problems.
I'm a psychic. My name is Psychic Carrie.
I'm Ross.
Oh, what a pleasure to meet you. Of course, I knew your name was Ross, as I am a psychic. But please, take a seat.
Well, I was hoping we could talk about my
your
podcast.
podcast. Yes, I know.
It's called Oh No, Ross and Carrie.
Yes.
We investigate fringe science, spirituality, and claims of the paranormal. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes. This whole podcast, it sounds like it's been a real challenge for you lately.
Actually, it's a lot of fun.
Yes, exactly. Because it's so fun.
I don't know how you do it.
This will be $75.
Okay, that seems fair.
Oh No, Ross and Carrie.
At MaximumFun.org. You knew it was a .org.
I have a gift.
Here's a way I think that we can tackle this question. And tell me what y'all think. I think, fair enough.
Sorry, I love it.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are all clearly lovers of cake, right? Sure. We all love our cakes. Yes. We've just been going on about the types of cakes that we love, whether it is Barbie in a bunt skirt or C-3PO traipsing across a giant sheet cake next to some high school that I haven't heard of. We all love cake. I think cake is at the top of this mountain, and our job is to see if ice cream cake can kick cake off the top of this mountain. Is that a fair assessment?
The very concept of cake, because that's really tall. There's so many kinds of cakes that are way better than an ice cream cake.
Yeah. And also, I will say that a cake, most people could assemble some type of cake from things that exist in their home, right. Could bake a cake out of things that they have at home. But an ice cream cake requires the assistance of another party. That's done by an ice cream cake pro. It's hardly something that you ever do at home yourself.
Though I did see a great, actually kid friendly for any kid bakers out there, because you never have to get near an oven. And it was a recipe for a homemade ice cream cake, which is simply a springform pan, Oreo crumbles with butter to make the crust for it, much like you'd make a cheesecake, and then melted ice cream poured on top and stick it back in the freezer.
Why
like, you know what? What's that?
The butter makes the crust
to hold
together.
The crumble.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking of at some point I'm going to eat butter, because the butter's not going to be baked in at all. You have to use hard butter, right?
No, you have to use like microwaved butter.
Okay, so you soften it and then you create sort of like a pebble.
Yes,
exactly.
Sort of, okay,
yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Pea gravel. You create Oreo pea gravel that you put in.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is like my favorite part of the ice cream cake is whatever crumbly thing.
The texture-y part.
Yeah.
So good.
I don't know here's the thing. Ice cream cakes are always kind of, not always, but usually we know ice cream cakes to be sort of juvenile. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're like a cult classic, but like, it's like your friend who's always doing a bit. Like you love that guy. But sometimes you just want to hang out with like a solid
Caissie,
guy.
Hal, close your ears for a second.
Yeah.
Exactly what you were talking about. He is always on. Hal, are you back?
Hey guys, it's me. The new character I'm working on. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not, but judging from the reaction, get ready for a whole night of it.
Sorry, you were saying, Caissie.
I just think it's like, I think ice cream cake is mostly for little kids.
Yeah.
I think that, but that being said, I have seen adults eat a lot of ice cream cake, and I myself never had it until maybe if I had it when I was a kid and when it would have like knocked my socks off more,
right? I
would still love it to this day. But I do feel like, I mean, it's right in the name, right? They always call it ice cream novelties at Carvel. Yeah. I feel like it's a novelty item.
Yeah.
Whereas cake is like a rich, cultured, historical tradition that, you know, there's cakes that have a backstory like you wouldn't believe, but then you can also make like trashy Duncan Hines and
also delicious.
Also delicious.
Do you have a if we are saying that, you know, this is Cake's mountain to get kicked off of by Ice Cream Cake, and spoiler for the end of the episode, not certain it's gonna do it. What is your favorite kind of cake?
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid, my grandmother would make me a chocolate cake my grandmother was a great baker and candy maker. She'd make me a chocolate cake with sort of like an improvised peanut butter frosting that I really dug as a kid. And it didn't look fancy. It was very humble. She didn't really decorate anything. I'm much more of a decorator than she was, but it was very delicious. And then I think it's a tie between that and it's a 3-way tie for cakes for me.
Okay.
Chocolate with peanut butter frosting, a white coconut cake, like a Snow White cake with white frosting and coconut on the outside.
Love it. Coconut inside the cake too?
Yeah, coconut maybe like inside the middle layer. It's usually a layer cake.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
Just delicious, and it like looks so festive and perfect. And I love it in summer, but I also love it in winter. It seems somehow to like be perfect for any season. And then my true favorite, if someone wants to make me happy, and someone does in my house every time it's my birthday, anything to celebrate for me, pineapple upside down cake. Couldn't be easier. Couldn't be.
Fantastic.
You don't have to be neat. You don't have to know how to bake anything. And it still kind of looks cool when it comes out because it has the pineapple rings and the cherries. The only thing is that one time my husband did buy a 5-pound jar of maraschino cherries to make one pineapple upside down cake for me. He bought the cherries from Smart and Final, and we had those cherries in our fridge for 22 months. I mean, we put them in everything we could, and they just, the cherries never went down. And that's a big jar to keep in like a regular family size fridge. It wasn't good. And it gave me a little bit of like, I feel like they should sell like 12 cherries at the store. Like you never need more than 12 maraschino cherries. Like for your own health, you don't need more than that. So
unless you're starting a bar that specializes in Shirley Temples. And
you should have to like show a license that you're like an all Shirley Temple bar or like an all banana splits dairy stand or something. But the general public should not be sold 5 pounds of maraschino cherries at one time.
Could you, in theory, have made the world's most decadent cherry pie out of strictly maraschino cherries?
I think
that would be just
like,
pure sugar.
I feel like it would like taste like Lego heads or something. Like, don't you think they probably turn into Lego heads or something? Like animal noses? Maybe they have the texture of animal noses.
Sure, it's called a Rudolph pie.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah. It's not, I mean, like the texture, I kind of dig the texture when they're not cooked, but I'm scared. They get a little tough. They get a little tough once they've been, but listen, when we're making Hal's like cake pie thing.
Because all bets are off with that thing.
Yeah, we've already opened like a portal to hell. Let's just make all maraschino cherry pie and like just, you know.
Yeah. Wrap it with a ring of red vines on the outside. Who cares?
Yeah, it's a pact.
At this point, it doesn't matter.
It's a pact between us.
When you were saying your favorite cake, and I like a pineapple. I like a pineapple. Leave it in. I like a pineapple upside down cake. I was rooting for German chocolate because that's my absolute favorite.
Yeah. That's a really good one too.
The frosting is incredible. The chocolate is great. Like all the components come together so nicely. It has the coconut, but those are three. I've never had a chocolate cake with peanut butter. I don't think I've ever had peanut butter frosting or icing or anything like that.
I don't think it's very common because it's not cute, Well, like German chocolate cake, know, it's like it can look a little, what do we say about
distressed khaki?
Distressed. Yeah. It looks a little intimidating. But it's worth it. Like if you're brave enough to enter.
Yeah. Mark could speak at length about my love affair with tan foods.
Like, that's right.
That's what I love. And I fought it.
All tan food diet.
All tan foods.
I fought it until we did an episode of the best like color of food. The best food color. And I realized with a pit in my stomach that every food I like is some shade of tan.
There's a lot of good tan foods, Hal.
There are great tan food.
There's a lot of good ones.
It's a good food color. There's a lot happening in there, including German chocolate cake.
And it's natural because no one's like coloring food tan on purpose.
You don't buy tan food coloring.
This food is so good, you're going to eat it even though it's tan. That's what tan food has going for it.
An attractive shade of burlap for all my food, please. I beg you.
Yeah, mashed potatoes are looking at broccoli going, oh, you got to be bright green for people to eat you? That's adorable. I'll be over here being tan, and then you're going to pour more tan on top of me. Well, by the way, I love that you mentioned a homemade cake because my favorite cake of all time and always will be still my mom makes in a single 9x13 pan that she's had for 30 years, a chocolate cake with her frosting recipe that she got from her great grandmother. I mean, that's a cake to me.
Nothing like it. Yeah.
Nothing like it. And that kind of, that we have these visceral reactions to cake that I don't necessarily have that reaction to an ice cream cake. Honestly, any positive reaction I have to an ice cream cake is at the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
By the end of the process, I have a paper plate that looks like it has cereal milk on it and a wet fork.
And
that's what I have by the end.
I think I've only ever had ice cream cake in an office setting, and the cleanup is like whoever has to clean that up. I always feel so terrible because it really is just a full an ice cream crime scene. It's not.
The whole table looks like a baby's mouth after dinner.
Yeah. And you can't. Here's what else I'll say. You can't pack up a slice of ice cream cake normally and say, here, take this home with you. Like cake is often used as like a departure favor for something. Sure.
That's a great point.
You can never do that. You just have to put it in the work freezer where it just crystallizes and whatever happens to it, curdles.
All right. I'm going to keep crapping on ice cream cakes and throw one other reason that regular cakes are better. And it's the melting. The melting is the core problem that we are having. That it's why someone's got to it's why you can't send it home with somebody. It's why somebody's got to clean up the mess. I was just at a birthday party for my friend's 2-year-old on Saturday. And out in a park, and there's the table that has all the presents on it and the cake that they spent forever making that had race cars on it. And it was like a race car cake. That was the whole theme of it. And it was beautiful. You could not do that. You can't have a pretty, awesome birthday cake. Like you can't decorate a treasure chest cake. You can't make anything except the football that they sell at Baskin Robbins was just a big mound of football. That's not an ice cream cake because it's not shaped like a cake. The only thing that makes an ice cream cake a cake is that it's shaped like a cake. This is shaped like a football. It's not an ice cream cake. It's an ice cream football.
Three-dimensionally a football, or is it just
fully? It's a half a football.
Okay,
so it's like
it's like a 3D half a football. If you if you hammered a football into the ground.
Exactly. If you spiked a football really hard after a particularly great touchdown and it embedded itself in the end zone.
Oh my gosh. I do want to point out that I love the texture of ice cream served on the side of cake. And so whenever I've had ice cream cake, I do find myself wishing, like, I really wish there was regular cake here to have with this, you know, so I'm a fan of ice cream with cake. I think it's one of the best combinations.
Cake a la mode is perfect.
Yeah. Cake a la mode. Also, you guys are my friends, so you know that I'm like a very, very, very enthusiastic Prince fan.
Yes.
And Prince name checks ice cream and cake in his lyrics so many times. So I feel like that's like a connection that I have to him, and I can't let go of that.
Right.
He didn't believe in cake without ice cream or ice cream without cake, apparently, if his songs are to be believed. So, you know, so that's important to me, but that's also, I don't like it just because Prince liked it. I liked it on my own. And I think like it's a good 1-2 punch combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the perfect answer to, do I want an ice cream cake or regular cake, is just have ice cream on the side of your cake. And then you can control the ratios.
Yeah.
Also, there are ice cream cakes that have a cake layer in them, like an actual layer of cake that goes along with the ice cream, which that's a whole separate thing, because putting the cake in the freezer means the texture's all weird and now you have hard cake.
Yeah. And then I'm like, I tell me how much ice cream I want with cake. You don't tell me.
Exactly. I want this ratio is my job.
Yeah.
I want to cop a squat on ice cream cake real quick, because I know we're getting towards the end here. Another thing I love about regular cake, and this was one of the failed cakes that I made. It wasn't bad. It was a chocolate cake. And then I infused it with some peppermint, and then I took Andes chocolates and melted them down to be a shell over the top.
Oh, that's good.
It was so dense that it pulled other planets from different solar systems into our solar system and then swallowed them whole. But when I went to decorate and write "Happy Birthday, Dad" on it in my impeccable handwriting, I did it with royal icing, which is maybe the best thing that you can add to any, like, it's always a home run no matter what you add it to.
Indestructible.
Fail
proof. Yeah.
Super easy to make. It's just water or milk and confectioner's sugar. But with an ice cream cake, it's that weird gel they have to use to write. The frosting they put on it has no it's almost like they're going like, the ice cream will do a lot of the work, so let's just surround it with old mayonnaise and toothpaste.
Aquafresh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Ugh. I hate, like, usually with a regular cake, everybody wants the rose, they want the writing, they want as much extra stuff as possible. With an ice cream cake, you're like, can I get just that blank square in the middle and then scrape the top off so I can just have the chocolate gravel and ice cream? That's the only good part of that. It's the only part to be salvaged.
The chocolate gravel is good though. And the fudge
that part's great.
It's good, but here's the thing. I think I've also seen people be disappointed that a regular cake isn't an ice cream cake and vice versa. I've seen people disappointed that an ice cream cake isn't a regular cake. Right. So I think that, you know, it's controversial, obviously, and we should be asking people what their preference is and not surprising people unless we know. But I hate surprises, so.
Look, disappointing cake surprises have been happening for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, hold on, though. Like a monkey wrench could be a cake at this point.
Yes. I mean, that's like, it's a whole trend.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Hal.
Do you hate just hate any surprise?
I do not like surprises. That's what I've learned about myself in the past. We do in my family what my husband calls like a soft surprise now, where like say my birthday, and it's been COVID times, whatever, but say it's my birthday, we can't really have a party or whatever, but my husband will like slip it to me like a few days before. We are having a handful of friends over on your birthday. I'm not saying who it is, but there will be up to 4 people here on your birthday. So that is like, I'm way too anxious for surprises. And also I have such an imagination and such an ego that I always like, when I know there should be a surprise, like I really get ahead of myself. And then I'm like very crushed and disappointed. To this day, at my big age, I'm like, oh no, I didn't get the Commodore 64 that I wanted. So I like to have my expectations managed for me.
How are you supposed to experiment with Garfield's print shop if you don't have a Commodore 64?
Exactly. So, I mean, I deserve it. Did I get it? No. So, yeah, I like to have my expectations managed. Do you guys like to be surprised?
I like a surprise.
I don't think I feel as strongly about it as you do, Caissie, but for my 30th birthday, my then fiance, now wife Jennifer, decided to surprise me. And I for some reason, the only two times I've really had a surprise party, once when I turned 21 and once when I turned 30, I somehow played into every aspect of it. Like when I was 21, my parents needed to be gone for the day. And so it was my friend Jesse's job to distract me. But I called him that morning. I was like, I just feel kind of crummy. Can I just come over to your house and hang out all day? And so I got myself out of the house.
Yeah.
30th birthday party. She had planned both of my proms. I took a friend to one and the foreign exchange student to the other. I was not, it might surprise you to know I was not a Casanova in high school.
A Lothario.
So, yes. I didn't have a girlfriend to take to prom. So Jennifer was like, for his 30th birthday, we're going to have a prom and I will be his date.
So sweet.
Yes. So I get home from work. I wasn't in a great mood, but she said she was going to take me out. We were going to go to a steak place. I was like, what if we dressed up and I got in my tuxedo?
Yeah.
Just appropriate of nothing. She's like, okay. And then she
Wait, you pitched that idea?
To her, yes. I didn't know,
not knowing that the prom was prepared.
No clue. You were there.
Oh my gosh.
You were at that
I
prom.
was there. I have the picture vividly in my head. One of my favorite photographs is of the two of you on the stage at your prom getting crowned king and queen. Because let's be honest, it was rigged.
It was
and it's one of the most delightful pictures of the two of you just laughing on stage as you were getting crowned prom king.
I love that. But see, that's a surprise from A, someone who's good at it, and B, who knows you so well that she probably predicted somewhere back in her lizard brain that, oh, Hal's going to want to get in his tuxedo and it's all going to go perfectly because she knew you so well. So she's really good at surprises. Yes. And I'm not shading anyone in my life for not being great at surprises. But
it's hard.
I'll tell you some stories after the podcast. But there's probably a good reason why I don't like surprises. But I think surprises are just you're surprised because you're scared, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's true.
But you like surprises as well, Mark.
I do. I like a surprise. Yeah. I've had a couple of great surprises, birthday-based surprises sent my way, and I'm a big fan. I like just surprise in general. I always like something new, something surprising, something novel to happen. I don't necessarily like to be startled.
Yes, that's what I think of as a surprise. But you know what? One of my favorite gentle birthday surprises was from you before we even knew each other. Because our friend Ben asked you to make a video talking like Bill the Vampire. Doing a birthday message for me.
That's right. I remember this.
That's one of my favorite things that I've ever gotten. And I loved it so much. And then for the longest time, whenever I ran into you in Grand Central Station in New York City and you were like, birthday girl. We didn't know each other well enough to know each other's names. And you were just like, I made that birthday video for you. And I was like, yeah, I love that birthday video. But that was a good gentle surprise. That's about all I could handle.
A nice nudge, tap on the shoulder. Excuse me, if I may surprise you here. I'm going to surprise you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love that. Do we need to do any more crapping on the terrible, terrible ice cream cake before we render? I'm just kidding. I feel bad saying that. I do. Look, I like an ice cream cake. They're a lot of fun. They're the flavor combos that you can find in an ice cream cake are really fun. It opens up a bit of versatility that cake plus frosting, you're adding a third element, so that really broadens what can be done. But I think we all know, right?
Well, I loved watching you rush through that. Ice cream cake is fine. It does this stuff. It combines it. It's okay if you like it. We're not making you feel bad. But
do people get really hurt? They get their feelings hurt.
I hope not.
In general, they do. It seems like.
I don't know that we have any power.
But we love you, Cookie Puss. We love you, Fudgy the Whale.
We do.
We loved them. They were delicious. I was kidding. Guys, I love all delicious sweet treats.
I love Cookie Opus and Santa Claus, which is Fudgy the Whale turned sideways.
Opus. Yeah, and the commercials are iconic. There are really no commercials for regular cake that are memorable, in my opinion.
There's one other ice cream cake that did great commercials. And the good news is that after it was discontinued in the United States in the mid 90s, it has just come back around.
I know what
as
you're
of
going to talk
2021. What am I going to talk about?
Are you talking about Viennetta?
I am talking about Viennetta.
Oh my God, Savage Farms, right?
No, it's now a different company picked it up. I think
but it was.
Good Humor picked it up.
Oh,
so sure. It is now a Good Humor product, but it is the same. It is that super fancy ice cream that comes, it's not really an ice cream cake because it's not solid, although it's like a ribbon.
Right.
It's like a cake ribbon, like an ice cream ribbon that's.
Did you think that was just for super rich people when you were a little kid?
Yeah. Because the commercial, they showed it on silver.
So fancy. Oh, yeah. After 8 Dinner Mint, Viennetta, Toffee Fay, where they flat out came out and said, not for kids. It's not for kids.
Did
kids
they really?
Yeah. It's too good for kids. And it drove me crazy.
Oh.
I'm surprised I wasn't jailed for shoplifting Toffee Fay.
Did you shoplift it because you thought you weren't allowed to buy it? Like it was alcohol
I just wanted to know.
Cigarettes?
I mean, it was the marketing 101. Tell kids it's too good for them. They will want Toffee Fay so bad they might shoplift it, which isn't good marketing. But... And it wasn't that good, by the way. It was it wasn't too good for kids. It wasn't too good for anyone. It was not that good. But Viennetta, man, I thought that was for rich bitches.
Fancy people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so good. And also Friendly's. I grew up in New England and Friendly's had a number of like frozen novelty cake-like items, like a Jubilee roll and a watermelon roll for summer, like watermelon ice cream with chocolate chips in it, which I think is like a little bit of a gross combo, but people love that. So, it has its place in our hearts.
Yeah.
In the form of plaques.
Viennetta was to ice cream cakes what the Arch Deluxe was to McDonald's hamburgers. Yes. It was like this is the one thing you've asked for your entire life is why isn't McDonald's fancier? Why can't the ice cream cake be for it? Well, now it is. Now, while you're listening to the new Peter Gabriel album, slice into a Viennetta on your silver dish. And then
pour yourself a goblet of Clearly Canadian.
Ooh, yeah.
And go.
A big old dragon.
Settle into your leather easy chair to have your Maxell tape blow you across your room while you're eating dessert.
Oh my God. Yeah. We all wanted to be the neighbors in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Like
Todd and Margot.
Yeah. Silver running suits.
They ate Viennetta every night, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
why they had to run so much. Yeah. All the Toffee Fay they wanted with their disposable income. Oh my God.
Oh, people of the world. There isn't enough Viennetta on this planet to make it as good as a real cake. Sorry. Sorry. There aren't enough silver plates, not enough Perrier in the world to make an ice cream cake better than a regular cake. It's just you take the worst of one and the best of the other, and it's maybe neck and neck. Maybe. But even then, like, don't you just want a regular cake and you can have the ice cream? Like, why would you do that to ice cream? Doesn't want that. Ice cream wants to be free. It doesn't want to be molded into an alien cake or
half a football.
It's true.
Or half a football. It wants to be in bowls. Mostly it wants to be in my belly, but the way it wants to get there is via bowls and waffle cones and waffle bowls and regular cones and milkshakes. It doesn't want to be a cake.
Even the occasional bar on a stick.
A bar on a stick.
Yeah.
Of course. In between 2 cookies. We could go on and on. The only good thing at a Yard House is a giant brownie with ice cream on it. But that ice cream is roaming free to do whatever it wants. If that ice cream doesn't want to be there, it could be in a dish. It's not being forced into a springform pan and covered in whatever weird carpet padding is used to simulate frosting. It's enough. We have to stop. I guarantee you ice cream cakes are not as good as you remembered wanting them to be when you were a kid. And they weren't as good then either when you were a kid. What I want for you is for you to have an honest conversation with yourself instead of getting angry at Mark for everything terrible he's saying about ice cream cakes right now. I want you to have a come to Jesus with yourself where you go, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm romanticizing the idea of a fancy ice cream cake when really it's regular old cake to the rescue every time. Asked and answered.
You guys want to go to Carvel's?
Yeah, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we did it. Caissie St. Onge, thank you so much for coming.
Oh
and
my
joining us
gosh,
on
it
the
was
show.
my pleasure. I had so much fun.
We promote some things. Do you have anything you want to promote, please?
Sure. You can listen to me every Wednesday on the podcast Busy Phillips is Doing Her Best. I'm not Busy Phillips, but I am her co-host and her friend. And you can also find me on Twitter, just at my first name, at Caissie. It's spelled like Cassie with an extra I in there. You can find me on Instagram at Instacase. And, you just see me around town in Los Angeles.
By the way, I just want to throw in that when I feel like we haven't done it in a while, but when you and I and Jeff Drake get into like a little Twitter conversation with one another, like that, those are treasured moments and memories for me. Like when those are times where I go, this is what Twitter is for.
Yes. When it's like cocktail party vibes and you're just like, no one's like calling you a piece of shit because, I've been through Twitter hell in the past few weeks. So not really, but like I just
like tweeted, you personally have been attacked.
I tweeted that one time I tried to check into an Airbnb and the lady of the house was like, hey, my cat's missing. If you see him around, can you try to catch him and then bring him in the house and like keep him? And I was like, no, I mean, like, I was like, I'm here on a business trip, so I'm not really going to be around that much. Like, I won't have that much time for cat capturing. But, I tweeted it in response to like a super viral tweet that somebody wrote about saying that Airbnbs aren't for them. But so many people were like, you're heartless. You're a piece of shit. And I was like, I mean, you don't really know me at all. I think it's too soon to make that call on whether I'm a piece of shit or not.
I like that your response was not, no, I'm not. It was, you don't necessarily know that yet.
Let's talk to me in 6 months. Let's spend some time getting to know each other. And if you still think I'm a piece of shit in 6 months, okay then. All right. But not today, sir.
Well, it has been a delight having you on here. Yeah. Thank you for being here, and thank you for picking this topic. This topic is now closed, but there are many more topics to discuss, so please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets, or
email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, or go to our Facebook group and talk about your favorite regular cakes only. Facebook.com/group/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, who has his own wonderful podcast called A Bit of a Chat with Ken Plume, and a new video venture called Force 5, where he speaks with Star Wars collectors about their 5 favorite figures. And now that I have all mine here, I can actually go on the show. So you have that to look forward to. Thank you also to researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world, for giving us an opportunity to sit down at this party, bring Caissie along, everybody gather together. We're going to stand over this perfect regular cake and spit on it and then pass it out. We love you. We thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.